It was a breezy day last week when I made it out into the garden for a long overdue checkup and a chance to finally declutter the shed. I'd practically abandoned the shed at the end of autumn and it had become a dumping ground for things I didn't need over winter. We've had a spell of freezing weather recently, so it was a nice relief, despite the stormy winds, to have a day mild enough to get outside and clear this space. Over the month of January, I have been slowly decluttering my apartment in preparation for moving house. The inside is pretty much done, but I've been putting off the garden tasks during these cold, short days. And this got me thinking about New Year's resolutions. January is a funny month. The excitement of the festive period is over, but here in the UK, we're not even halfway through the winter. And so it's always seemed counterintuitive to me that it's during these cold months that we make resolutions. We vow to make big changes, to commit to new habits and daily routines, while the rest of nature, at least in the northern hemisphere, is on pause, slowed down to a state of hibernation, which is exactly how I feel at this time of year too. I want to spend the dark days inside, reading and writing, cooking or getting cosy with candles and blankets, whatever it takes to turn my home into a cocoon of comfort. And the impulse to get active is pretty much non-existent. Instead, it seems that springtime would be a much more natural point in the year to make changes, to set our intentions and build new routines just as life and colour is returning to Mother Nature. This new season is surely the logical time to warm up our bodies and minds as the hopeful signs of spring pop up all around us. But until that time comes, we just hunker down over winter, which can be especially hard on us night owls, opening the curtains in the late morning, knowing that only a few hours later they'll have to be drawn again. The season can start to feel like one eternal night. The upside of winter for me is I find it much easier to create in the dark hours. Activities like writing or editing YouTube videos are things I do at night. So I actually find this summer is less productive for my creative pursuits, and instead I spend more of my time pottering in the garden or having picnics or going for long walks. While I don't plan to be the custodian of this garden for much longer, I was still intrigued to see what had survived the recent freeze and what little offerings were left in the garden. So I took a break from decluttering to have a wander around the vegetable patch. I've been nursing these cuttings over winter, ready to take to my new garden. So it was good to see they've made it through. On first glance, the rest of the garden is brown and dead, but when I slowed down for a good look, I noticed a lot more going on than I expected. As I pottered about on this windy day, I saw a lot of beauty in the muted garden. Berries peeking out from the foliage, rose hips that had formed over winter, and then the first signs of spring, tulip bulbs already making their way out of the pots. Over the years, I've planted hundreds of daffodils and tulips and crocuses. I'm not sure if I'll get to enjoy their blooms this year, but the new residents will hopefully get some satisfaction from them. The one plus point of the garden being so empty at this time of year is the real gratitude for even the tiniest of harvests, like this baby broccoli that has survived. This little crop might make its way onto the dinner plate soon. Sorrel is one of my favourite plants to grow because it always survives the winter and provides a few fresh salad leaves every week. I'm not actually a huge fan of the taste of rainbow chard, but it provides such amazing colour in the garden, I do always grow it. The wind really picked up towards the end of the day, but I was determined to finish the decluttering job. My final task of the afternoon was to clear out my plastic pots. I don't remember ever having to buy any pots, they just seem to have accumulated and multiplied in the shed over the years, and now I have a complete mishmash of various pots in all conditions and sizes. Most of them are encrusted with old compost and plant material from previous seasons, so this was a good opportunity to scrub them clean. First off, it's just good practice to make sure any diseases and pests overwintering in the pots don't infect this year's seedlings. But also, it will be nice to arrive at my new garden with clean equipment, having discarded any broken trays and pots. One of my favourite mindfulness books is The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich, Nhat, Hanh. In one of the early chapters he talks about washing the dishes to wash the dishes, which is really a thought on maintaining awareness when doing basic daily tasks that could otherwise become quite mindless. I used to rush through jobs like this, my mind totally elsewhere, maybe thinking about my to-do list or even having an argument in my head with someone who said something to annoy me at some point in the past. But today I try to bring an energy of presence to these seemingly mundane tasks. To wash these pots for the sake of washing the pots was actually quite difficult, but I focused on the warm water and the fresh air blowing through the garden. And maybe this goes against the idea of the present moment, but I also had the feeling that this task was my first step towards creating a brand new garden, putting care and preparation into the beginnings of another year's harvest and abundance. Before heading inside, I had a final pass through the garden to harvest some ingredients for a homemade herbal tea. Most of the herbs seem to last through the winter here, especially the more woody herbs, if that's the right description. Lemon Thyme, for example, can be harvested all through the winter, and it makes a great base for a fragrant tea. I was surprised this Egyptian mint hadn't completely perished over the winter months, but this particular spot does get a moment of winter sun most days, so it had a little something to offer the teapot. My lemon balm is so ridiculously abundant over the summer that I never know quite what to do with it, but right now, in this sad state, you'd never imagine it could ever grow back. I do find lemon balm quite strong, so just these few leaves will be enough to add a hint of earthiness to the tea. I received this teapot last year, which is the perfect size to brew a cup of tea for one. I've come to enjoy the ritual of making tea, letting the herbs steep gently for a few minutes before pouring. During the decluttering process, I was quite strict with myself when getting rid of things. I tried to follow the maybe somewhat well-worn advice of William Morris. Have nothing in your house that you do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful. A more recent but similar sentiment comes from Marie Kondo, who says our goal of decluttering should be to keep only the objects that spark joy. And so, after nearly 10 bin bags of recycling and rubbish and items to donate, I'm left with a home of objects I love. This beautiful teapot and cup and saucer definitely make the routine of tea making a touch more special. Well, I'm off to enjoy my tea now, but as always, thanks for watching. Bye for now.